through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. Someday you go through the rain, and someday you'll feed on a tree frog. This ordeal, the trial to survive, for the day we see new light. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. I'm still in a dream, snake eater.
Hey, what's up everybody? Justin here to review a remake of a modern classic, Metal Gear Solid Delta, which is a full remake of the original Metal Gear Solid 3 game, which happens to be my second favorite of the franchise behind Peace Walker. Considering this year is the 21st anniversary of the release of the original PS2 game, it's really hard for me to process that it has been that long. I got the original game when it came out, and it was towards my last year of college, and I was about 20 years old at the time. Anyway, at the age of 41, I'm glad to see that Konami is back in the video game business, and let's see how Metal Gear Solid Delta measures up, especially without Kojima. Delta is pretty much a true remake of the original third game, with updated graphics and includes some gameplay features that partially correspond to some of the later releases, most notably Metal Gear Solid 4. This isn't like Twin Snakes for the GameCube, where it inserts some really weird-ass Matrix action sequences. But the cutscenes and the gameplay features of Delta are more or less identical to the original, but with much updated graphics. If you haven't played the original or any of the other Metal Gear Solid games, it's perfectly fine. This game is pretty much the beginning of the whole Metal Gear saga, as it tells the origins of the antagonist of the original MSX games, Big Boss, who goes by Jack or Naked Snake in this game. Like the original third installment, the jungle environment in Cold War-era Soviet Russia is the perfect environment for sneaking missions and espionage, the main gameplay themes of the franchise. The camouflage feature returns, and you must find the right uniform and face paint in order to blend into your environment to avoid detection. However, you must be on the watch for not just any damn commies, but also for hostile animals such as snakes that may bite you and inject you with their venom. Thankfully, injuries and wounds can be treated with the right equipment. On the other hand, you can chase these snakes and eat them, hence partially corresponding to the subtitle of Snake Eater, which is also a nickname for the Green Berets, of which Big Boss is a member of. You can have Snake crouch and have him walk while crouching, which certainly helps since this is one of the new inclusions. I thought the game would include other features from the Phantom Pain, such as running, but that wasn't included. I felt at times it was necessary, and out of habit, left analog button down, thinking I could, but that wasn't the case. Another instance is carrying people. I barely remember that Snake drags and doesn't carry people on his shoulders, like in The Phantom Pain, which could have helped at certain instances. The game allows you to play with its modern mode, which uses a layout similar to Metal Gear Solid 4, or you can play the original style with the overhead layout. For this playthrough, I played the newer style, similar to the later releases, just to see how it works. It does change your perspective a lot with how you look at the environment and how you look for enemy combatants. You're also given a similar wide selection of weapons, so if you're a Second Amendment loving American who bleds red, white, and blue and wants to take out some commie scumbags, then this is the game for you. The jungle not only allows you to sneak around like you're the Predator at times, you're also free to go wild like Rambo. I remember seeing trailers of the original PS2 game, and I was blown away by how it had that vibe, to the point that I was hoping you could get a bow and arrow like Rambo does in the second movie, especially exploding ones. Unfortunately, that's also the case in Delta as well, because that'd be pretty fucking badass. The game's controls are easy to master, but for those coming in more familiar with the original PS2 game, it is going to be a bit of an adjustment, but there are plenty of chances for you to get familiar with them. It's like riding a bike, but with some new and improved features. I felt that compared to the original game, using CQC was much easier for me to pull off, especially in the fight against Volgin, and is very comparable to how it's pulled off in Peace Walker and 5. As a martial arts enthusiast and practitioner, I find it to be a very unique approach to taking on enemies efficiently and quickly. What makes Metal Gear Solid appealing are its unique boss battles. Once again in Delta, you take on the Cobra unit, consisting of the Pain, the Fear, the Fury, the N, the Sorrow, and the boss herself, also known as the Joy. And finally, there's Johnny Lawrence, the Badass. Okay, obviously kidding on that one. Each boss has their own gimmick, and you have to find a way to combat them. Most notoriously, the battle with the N is a true battle of attrition. It requires everything in your toolbox to defeat him. I didn't have a chance to try in this installment, but in the original PS2 game, there is a way to eliminate him early in a rather amusing way. I remember the first time I fought him, I think it took me almost an entire night. And for that other method, I don't know if it'll work in this release, but because I didn't really bother trying as of yet. Other notable features, such as radio calls, are also back, where Snake will have Major Zero, Paramedic, Sigint, and Eva supporting him. As usual, Paramedic serves as Kojima's surrogate for being a cinephile, and the conversation about Godzilla will be updated to correspond with this release, along with how many new movies have been out since 2004. Also, as to why Major Zero chose Major Tom as his initial codename, the motivations are still there, as it took inspiration from The Great Escape. As to why that movie was referenced, The Great Escape was one of Kojima's influences in creating Metal Gear. In other good news, the original voice cast is back, and fans are glad to hear that David Hayter has been brought back as the voice of Snake, since he was unceremoniously replaced in Metal Gear Solid 5 by Kiefer Sutherland. Their performances are still top-notch and really suck you into the characters. In addition to the English voice cast returning, so does the Japanese one. From what I understand, the game also uses pre-existing recordings for the original game, which is understandable. And considering that Volgin's Japanese voice actor, Kenji Utsumi, has long since passed away, it's glad that they brought the voice actor's recordings back in order to bring back this original performance. What really hits home are the themes of this game, which are many, most notably loyalty and change. These themes are how the game plays out perfectly, set the foundation as to why Big Boss becomes the antagonist in the original MSX Metal Gear games. It does an excellent job of bringing you into his emotions and how the events ultimately affect him. All he wants to be is a good soldier, but he has to learn that being a soldier is also being a political tool, and whoever is in office at a time can affect all that for their own exploitation. But later on, all he wants is not to just be a soldier, but to find a place to belong as one, and give that to other soldiers who wish to find a place to belong to as well. I know this is getting into spoiler territory here for the MSX games, but this game does recon Big Boss into becoming a tragic hero. For those who are veterans of the original series, it'll be like coming home, but newly built with all the stuff you love still there and more. For those wanting to get into the Metal Gear franchise, This is an excellent place to start for the reasons as I said before. While I did enjoy this remake, more ideally, I would like to see remakes of the original MSX games. They're actually included in Substance, a previous re-release of the original third game, but I would love to see how these games would look on today's modern engines. It would also give newer and younger players who are interested, a chance to experience the lore of Metal Gear more, and I would love to see how David Hayter will portray a younger Solid Snake. And also, it would be interesting if Richard Doyle would come back as Big Boss. Lastly, I'd love to see how the boss battles would work in a modern sense as well. Ultimately, I'm glad to see Konami is back to form with this game, even if it isn't without Kojima. And it shows that Metal Gear does have a future, and most certainly with its past. I say let's go back to the beginning and give the world a chance to see the original MSX Metal Gear games again, and as for sequels, I would love to see a sequel to Metal Gear Rising, and maybe a prequel game about the boss during World War II, and how it got into, let's say how the philosophers started and how they fell apart. I say Metal Gear still has lots of potential with new content without the need for remakes, but the remakes are a good way to hook all players in with the anticipation of them and more.